mud roads with very little surface, and then they started surfacing with scoria, and which was rough on tires, and tires weren't too good at that time anyway, and so they limited the amount of times that they'd go to town and use scoria roads. The country roads, they rutted, they wear down to where you just about hang up. Well, then they'd straddle that, and they had ruts the width of the lanes, and in the county you got heavier equipment, and it wasn't long before they had the roads all built up in the county and opened up gravel pits, and we had good gravel roads, and still do. The first chunk of oil road that I had a chance to ride on was from Baker out to the overpass west or east of Baker. They put in 3 miles of oil there while I was going to high school, and that was the first oil road that we had here. Otherwise, the road to Miles City was scoria, and I think that's where it got its name. I think from the red, how in the heck they call it, Yellowstone Trail, or from that yellow scoria or the red scoria. And they had most of the roads here, the road to Eaglehawk was built on the divide. It was a crooked road. It stayed on top of the divide as much as they could. And I know right here we used to sit on the slope that drains toward Lebanon, a quarter of a mile east of here it drains toward Marmouth. So we're sitting just about on the divide right here where we're at. Mm-hmm. And in later years now we've got springs and popping up in the fields. I don't know if it's from farming or what, but there's starting to get a lot of soft spots where there's moisture coming up. Whether it's acidic soil or joining up and hitting it's kind of unusual to see the spots where cattails are starting to grow.
When you were a kid, talking about the moisture and stuff, from things we've read, like it was wetter then back in and of course I guess there was dry periods too and stuff. But do you remember anything like how was it at your place and folks' place in the 30s with the drought and the grasshoppers and all of that? You remember anything in particular about that era?
Well, the grass never greened up in the spring. And
talk about grasshoppers, Dad.
And the grasshoppers moved in just about like it was a cloud when they come in, and then the cloud formed overhead and got cool, and the grasshoppers come down. And I know when I took the cows out to the pasture, moved them out, it was just they were taken off. About the third day they took off again, the hoppers. It was just about as high as the cow's back. It was just solid hoppers, just lifting off the ground. I mean, they just fence posts got nice and shiny. The cedar posts, they ate the decayed wood on the side, so they looked like new posts. But the chickens got so sick of hoppers, they never ate them anymore. You see a chicken now chasing a grasshopper and they run it until they catch it, but
Take the clothes off the line.
Okay, that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
think you couldn't put anything outside that you didn't want ate up. If you couldn't hang clothes on the line, or you,
Ooh, ate them all.
it was. And a fork handle, if you left the fork in a stack or anything, they took a bite out of it and pulled the wood up enough so it was just like a rasp, the handle. It was going after the salt or something in the from a person's hand or from handling them. And they didn't leave anything in the garden or anything that was green. They didn't leave. And then even the carrots, they went right down into the carrot, right even below ground. They went. So it, even gardens and stuff that were watered, it didn't. But we haven't had them that bad since. I mean, we've had a lot of hoppers, but never that.
Now, did you ever drive a team? Did you have horses on the place?
I drove team when heading. I drove header box, they called it, for when they used headers to cut grain. And when Dad planted spuds, I drove sulky plow with it and plowed the spuds down, and he had them laid out so that the field I could keep plowing. He'd plant behind me on one round, and I'd keep it going. I'd cover and pass him when he got to the end of the road, so he got his three furrows for each spud row. And he raised spuds there for, I imagine for 10 years he raised registered Bliss Triumph potatoes and shipped carload one year, him and another guy to Idaho for seed potatoes. They the way you plant potatoes, you'd cut a potato in 4 pieces, take 4 steps, and then he'd take an extra step so it was blank, and then he'd cut another potato for the next 4. So and when the inspector come to inspect the field, well, if he seen 4 plants that were uneven, didn't look right, why he pulled them out. They were pulled out. So they had different ways of, checking for certification. And he raised corn, and he hand selected flint corn and got a 12-row cob instead of the old 8-row. And he took state flint 2 years at the state corn show. And the 3rd year he sold seed corn to a neighbor, and he took first, Dad took second at state. So, but he enjoyed horticulture. He never went to school, but he planted a big orchard, and the Hansmeyer from the state college showed him how to bud trees, because apples, Mom, don't come true from seed. You bud on a delicious or a greener or whatever. So whenever he was seen a nice looking apple tree or a nice looking apple tree, he'd clip off a branch and bring it home and take buds off from it and bud on his seedling apple trees. A delicious tree, or some of the wouldn't make it here. Their root systems weren't, but by a bud, they'd make it. I mean, So it was, he done a lot of that, and he spent most of his years in his orchard. I mean,
Okay.